Hey there, welcome to my review of Tennis Elbow 4. It may not look like that from the footage, but Tennis Elbow 4 is a diamond, though a diamond in the rough. If you are seeing Tennis Elbow 4 for the first time, you might not be impressed. The graphics look like something from the PlayStation 2 era, just with higher resolution. The running animations are pretty janky, and overall it's clear this is not a big budget game. And when you first play this game, it doesn't get much better. The gameplay feels strange and aiming is very different from other tennis games you might be used to. And so you might be wondering, what's so special about Tennis Elbow 4? See, to appreciate Tennis Elbow 4, you need to dedicate time and energy. And let's face it, not many people are willing to do that these days with so much easy and quick entertainment available. But I think Tennis Elbow is worth the effort if you are looking for a truly satisfying tennis video game. And in this video, I will do my best to describe to you what makes Tennis Elbow 4 such an addictive experience. And hey, if we have any Tennis Elbow 4 fans or veterans watching this video, make sure to drop a comment below. Let us know what you love about the game and how long it took you to click with it. So, let's begin. First, let's establish what type of tennis game Tennis Elbow 4 is and who it is for. Tennis Elbow 4 is a proper tennis simulator, which focuses on replicating the experience of playing tennis match in a video game. This immediately puts a ceiling on game's potential popularity. It's designed for hardcore tennis and gaming fans. Plus, it's great for highly competitive players. On top of that, Tennis Elbow 4 lacks financial backing of companies like 2K or EA. In fact, Tennis Elbow 4 has been created by one developer who works on this series for nearly 30 freaking years. My guess is that huge fans of Topspin or Virtua Tennis will likely bounce off Tennis Elbow 4 very easily. And that just means the game is not designed for them. A major reason for that are simplistic graphics of Tennis Elbow 4 and also lack of smooth running animations. These two elements are important for many gamers to suspend their disbelief and immerse themselves into a video game. But besides visuals, there's another obstacle for majority of players: the initial steep learning curve. Tennis Elbow 4 plays very differently than what you are used to. And that, combined with complexity of the game, makes it very unapproachable at the start. I bet you won't enjoy your first few matches in Tennis Elbow. You also absolutely have to play tutorials here. It's necessary for learning to play the game. And that's a hurdle that many are not willing to go through, especially when Tennis Elbow does not wow them with initial impressions. And because of these reasons, Tennis Elbow 4 caters to a more niche group of players. To those of you who appreciate the promise of finding nuances of tennis match once you click with the game. So what are these nuances in Tennis Elbow 4? Well, since I am far from being an experienced Tennis Elbow player, I asked one of the best, if not the best, Tennis Elbow 4 online players, Mystery, what makes the game so special for him. Here is the list of his favorite things about Tennis Elbow 4. First, ball physics. They are unique comparing to all other tennis games. You can hit winners easily when you have advantage in a point and are able to wrong foot your opponents. This is unlike other tennis games where you have to play endless rally and the shots don't penetrate opponents' defenses. Mystery also values how stamina works in the game. The longer the match goes, the more tired players become, resulting in more errors. By the way, the game has split between long-term stamina effects and short-term stamina for the rally, which is great. Next, Tennis Elbow 4 also offers tons of shot types. Besides traditional shots, you can also do special shots, like short slice, short crossed acceleration shots, and even banana shots. Another advantage of TE4 is definitely the court physics, and of course that comes from XKT mod, where you feel completely different when playing on different surfaces, having to use different strategies to win. Personally, I think these nuances are not sexy, nor are they flashy. In fact, you probably won't even notice them in your first few matches. But the longer you play Tennis Elbow 4, the more you learn the technicalities of the game and grow appreciation for its dedication to details. Big thanks to Mystery for sharing his feedback and experience with the game. By the way, he has a YouTube channel with full match gameplay footage from online competitive tournaments. I will leave the link to his channel in the video's description, so make sure to check out his content for some top tier Tennis Elbow 4 gameplay. And now is a great moment to discuss the details of gameplay in Tennis Elbow 4 so that you can understand how the game actually works. As I mentioned before, Tennis Elbow 4 feels very different than other tennis games. In fact, it's so freaking different that I bounced off this game 2 times before it finally clicked with me. So, what is so different about gameplay in Tennis Elbow 4? The first big difference is how you hold the shot button. In most tennis games, you time the release of the shot button right before your racket hits the ball. Games like Topspin, AO Tennis 2 and Full Ace Simulator all use this mechanic. Basically, this timing impacts the quality of your shot. But in Tennis Elbow, you hold the shot button until the shot is actually made. If you release the shot button before the impact, you make a safe shot that goes to the middle of the court, leaving you vulnerable for the attack. But now you may be confused. I said this game is deep and difficult, so where the hell is the difficulty coming from, since there's no shot button release timing? Where's the difficulty, you may ask? See, mastering Tennis Elbow 4 gameplay is more complex task than just timing your shot's release. The first part of the skill ceiling in Tennis Elbow 4 is aiming, which works in unusual ways. Unlike other tennis games, you don't choose the length of your shot by tilting the left stick up or down. In Tennis Elbow, you can only choose the left and right direction of the shot with the stick. And you have to time aiming well. If you hold either side for too long, your shot goes out very easily. And if you release the stick too early, you will play close to the middle of the court. So the skill of timing your shots is present in Tennis Elbow, but it's about left stick aiming, not releasing your shot button. And thanks to this style of aiming in the game, Tennis Elbow is probably the only tennis game that you can play well without controller. In fact, some of the top online players use keyboard. Now let's talk about how you control the length of your shots in Tennis Elbow 4. First, your build. Your character stats matter in this game. For example, the topspin stat affects the spin and length accuracy of your shots. And if you choose the defender archetype, you will get even more topspin and longer shots. Then we have shot quality and difficulty of the shot. Basically, better, well prepared and easier shots to make go longer. And lastly, we have shot type. Different shots have different lengths in this game. And speaking of shot types, Tennis Elbow 4 has a lot more variety than most tennis games. While other games have the basic shots, Tennis Elbow 4 gives you 9 types of ground strokes to work with, and they are all useful. We have normal strike, short normal strike, topspin, slice, defensive and aggressive lob, drop shot, acceleration, and short acceleration. Think of these two as aggressive shots in other games. Plus, there are hidden advanced shots like the short slice and banana shots that we mentioned earlier. Volleys are also diverse in Tennis Elbow 4. You can play aggressive volleys, fast net shots, drop volleys, and sliced volleys too. And picking the right shot for each situation is key to victory. Now let's move on to serving in Tennis Elbow 4 because it's a whole new ballgame. There are 3 types of serves in the game. Aggressive serve, which is fast but not very accurate. Then we have normal serve, which maintains a good balance of precision and power. And lastly, we have safe serve, which is perfect for second serves to ensure the ball goes in. You can also add spins to your serves, and of course, you have to time the aim of your serve right. And as a result of all these little things, serving in Tennis Elbow 4 is one of the most complex and challenging mechanics to master, but it's also super rewarding once you get it down. Now let's talk about movement in Tennis Elbow 4, which sets it apart from other tennis games. When you just look at the footage, the movement in Tennis Elbow 4 looks janky and unrealistic. Ironically, movement in this game is probably the most realistic one I have experienced in tennis video game. Players have momentum. They take time to start sprinting. Changing directions is also not an instant action. Inertia is a thing here. And because of that, you can wrong foot your opponents in Tennis Elbow 4. Also, in many other tennis games, you can start running towards the ball and prepare your shots from afar, right, by holding the shot button. But in Tennis Elbow 4, you have to wait until you are really close to the ball before you can actually start preparing your shot. If you try to prepare too early, your player will still move towards the ball, but they will do so at snail's pace. On top of that, movement isn't just about getting to the ball on time in Tennis Elbow 4. Your shot quality also depends heavily on being in the right position relative to the ball's bounce. If you try to hit the ball too early, especially with an aggressive shot, you are likely to make an error. Thankfully, the developers included a danger zone indicator to help us learn this over time. The indicator shows red where it's very risky to hit the ball, orange for increased risk, and green for the safest optimal position. And while we are on the topic of danger zone indicators, let's talk about all the game's preview helpers which are crucial for learning to play Tennis Elbow 4. When you first start playing the game, you rely on several previews, such as ball preview, which shows us where the ball will actually bounce. We also have danger zone indicator, which we just discussed. And then there is also aiming preview, which shows where your shot will more or less land. As you improve in the game, you will start turning these off. Why? Because relying less on these helpers boosts your satisfaction as your skills improve. It also makes the game feel much more like the real tennis. There's also another reason. Disabling these in-game helpers prepares you for multiplayer matches and online tournaments. And since we are on the topic of multiplayer, let's dive into the online multiplayer mode in Tennis Elbow. This is a big deal for all of you competitive players out there. And I've got to admit, I still suck at online matches in this game. So here is some tournament finals footage from two top players. Big thanks to Mystery for letting us use this footage. I'll be honest, my feelings about multiplayer are a bit conflicting. It's super fun, but getting into a match is tough. When you finally get into a match, it's an amazing experience. It feels like the most competitive online tennis game, right up there with full ace tennis. It's especially exciting when you find an opponent who is close to your skill level. But here's the catch. The gap between newbies and experienced players is huge. If you are a beginner like me, you will struggle to keep the rally going. I've been getting my butt kicked in almost every match. But you know what? I still enjoy it. Losing to those guys does not feel cheap or unfair. They are simply better players than I am, and that motivates me to improve. I have already noticed my gameplay getting better after a few days of multiplayer matches, and that feels really satisfying. Another positive worth noting is that handling of ping in Tennis Elbow is great. I've had matches that were somewhat enjoyable from delay perspective, even with players at 300 ping. I actually wish more companies handled this aspect of online multiplayer as well as Tennis Elbow developer did. I'm looking at you, Big Ant, with ball teleporting all over the place in all your titles. Now let's talk about the downsides of multiplayer. There are two main issues here. First, it can be hard to find a match, especially outside peak hours. Finding an opponent at your skill is even tougher because the player base is just small, and most players are actually very skilled already in this game. The second issue is that the game lacks dedicated servers, so players have to host their own matches. For some players, hosting matches works well, but technical difficulties have been a headache for me because I can't host a public match. I can join others, but people cannot connect to me. And it seems that quite a few players on forums have the same issue. There are workarounds, but they require some tech know-how or paying for VPN app that supports port forwarding. Another quirk is the mod system and how it works with multiplayer matches. Players need to have the same mods set up to play together. You can switch mods and profiles from the game's menu, which is cool and convenient. But every time you do so, you have to restart the game before connecting with another player. This mod setting is not a big issue on its own, but when you combine all these quirks that I've mentioned, playing online becomes a hassle. And I believe that most people won't be dedicated enough to deal with these issues and might get discouraged. And that's a pity, because the actual online matches are really rewarding once you get that far. Oh, and let's not forget about online tournaments in Tennis Elbow 4. There's official online tour run by the game's developer on the forums, plus the World Tennis Simulation League organized by fans and modders. I haven't joined either tour yet because of my low skill level, but I've heard great things from players. The tournaments are highly competitive, well organized, and feature players with top-notch skills. And by the way, the Tennis Elbow 4 community is small but super friendly and helpful. All the people I spoke with have been patient with me in explaining how to set up things and giving feedback about the game. So big shout out to everyone in Tennis Elbow 4 community that I have interacted with so far. Now let's dive into mods, a crucial part of Tennis Elbow 4 experience. The biggest mods are the XKT ones, created by Mystery. These mods add tons of awesome content, like full world tour for offline play. You can play a full career with players like Andre Agassi back in 90s or Prime Roddick against Federer. The offline world tour in Tennis Elbow 4 is the best career mode I have played in a tennis game. It lacks some of the money spending perks and upgrades from games like AO Tennis 2, but it allows for realistic player progression. Plus, tennis fans who love past eras can start playing as far back as 1973. It's just insane. The mods also include a huge list of real players, with legends from the past, detailed shots, animations, outfits, and grunts. It's all very well done with as much realism as possible given the game's engine limitations. We also have all the venues we can dream of in the game. Plus, mods enhance gameplay experience, particularly XKT mods which improve how court and ball physics work in the game. Overall, mods take the game from "that's nice" to "wow, what a game." The only thing I wish for in Tennis Elbow 4's World Tour mode is the ability to simulate matches. Right now, you have to play every single match in every tournament you sign up for. I think it would be awesome to have ability to skip some matches, especially since the career mode spans over 20 seasons. We also have to talk about player stats in Tennis Elbow 4. Most tennis games keep it simple, but T4 goes deep. In this game, power isn't just one stat. Each shot has its own power and accuracy ratings. The topspin stat is especially interesting because it affects your shot's spin, and there is no right or wrong choice here. Both high and low values of topspin have their own pros and cons. High topspin value gives you more length control but less raw power, and low topspin does the opposite. I mean, check out the screen right now. There are tons of stats to customize, and I freaking love it. Players also have archetypes like defender, puncher, power baseliner, just to name a few, and all of these archetypes come with their own bonuses. Plus, you can assign talents to your player, which act like special skills. Some let you serve faster occasionally, while others add topspin to your backhand or flatten it. There's just insane amount of depth in character building. You can create your own player, use animations and grunts of your favorite tennis stars, and craft unique build for your own avatar. Now let's discuss a few areas where Tennis Elbow 4 could improve. The most obvious weakness is the running animation. They are pretty rough, right? I asked Manutu, the game's developer, about this. He said running animations are the next big update he will work on, after the game is released on PlayStation 4 and 5, so stay tuned. I believe improving this singular aspect of the game could really boost the game's popularity and success. Another issue is the interface design. The menus work, but they look old school. Changing settings can be also tricky, plus my controller sometimes isn't recognized when I boot up the game. Player stats, while detailed, lack proper in-game explanations. For example, the forehand has power, consistency and precision stats. I bet you can guess what power and precision more or less do, right, without even reading online documentation. But you wouldn't know that precision is relative to power, or what consistency actually impacts in the game. Lastly, hosting matches can be a pain. And so I believe creating an online matchmaking system and giving us dedicated servers would attract more players. The current system might work for veterans, but it's inconvenient by 2024 standards. New players might get frustrated and give up, which is a shame because multiplayer is lots of fun. So, these are my thoughts on Tennis Elbow 4 after spending around 50 hours with the game. I've had blast with Tennis Elbow 4. And the more time I spend with this title, the more I grow fond of it. Tennis Elbow 4 is one of the games which take time to click with, but once you do click with it, the game sucks you in and doesn't let you go easily. If you are a fan of tennis and look for realistic reflection of how it feels to play this beautiful sport, then do yourself a favor and give this game a proper shot. Trust me, you will thank yourself later. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more of my content in the future, then make sure to subscribe to my channel. Anyway, that's all from me in this video. Thanks for your time and I'll see you in the next one.